Hello to all my friends out there in YouTube land. It is your good buddy Philtastic Phil here, and I'd like to welcome you back to my channel. I'm really excited for today's episode. I guess you could say it's a very special episode because I have a guest that I interview. That's right, I interviewed a great young artist by the name of Anthony Dempsey. Anthony's artwork you'll find is not only beautiful and magnificent just to look at, but it's quite different. Specifically, the medium he uses is a lot different. I'm not going to give anything away here. You're just going to have to watch the interview to see it. Before you get into the interview, though, I'm going to warn you that this video is a little bit longer than my typical videos. So if you'd like, take this opportunity to go to your kitchen, get yourself a nice cold or warm drink, depending on what part of the country that you're in or what part of the world that you're in, of course. Maybe get yourself a nice little snacky poo, come back, kick your feet up, and enjoy the video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're going to go right into it, Anthony. You've been making art for a while. Tell me, what has been the progression and evolution of your artwork?
So I've always drawn and done artwork ever since I was a little kid. I remember when I was 4 years old, I would always make these books and I'd always have some story about a dinosaur going through and doing something, or Godzilla or something. I always made all these like little cute stories and stuff, and I have all of them in my closet actually. But because I was so into that, my parents gave me art lessons, and every Saturday I would go to a studio that had a really nice garden and a gazebo, and we'd go outside and we'd draw things. And the teacher there, her name was Miss Lena. She really guided me through those early years and kind of fine-tuned my artwork to a level that was proficient. And then eventually I stopped taking those classes because it was the same thing over and over again. I had been doing it for years. And I kind of just started picking things up on myself. And I took a lot of art classes in high school. I continued. I didn't stop making art after I got out of the class. I definitely continued it, but I kind of just taught myself stuff and experimented with new things. And each of my new teachers also helped guide me and gave me new ideas and new things to look at. And then eventually I said one day, hey, I want to kind of make some money off of this. So I started making shoes and selling jackets and kind of trying to sell things to people that would be more interesting rather than just a still painting, and try to get like involvement of them wearing my art and kind of self-advertising it with that.
Let me go back to just like your starting and everything. I have to look, by the way. I think I might still have a Spider-Man comic you made somewhere.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, I don't throw out anything, so I probably have it like with birthday cards or something somewhere. I got to look, but you just reminded me of that. Yeah, and I do remember. I think when you were more so when you were little, I think your mom took them down. But your old house in Raritan, they had. I remember your parents had the pictures just like wall to wall
Oh yeah,
frames.
the
Yeah,
one the one big wall with like 20 paintings on them. Yeah.
yeah, that was definitely cool. I remember that.
Yeah, I love that wall. That was cool. And that was like some of my early stuff. So even like when I was older, when I was 18, still living there, like I had all of my like 5-year-old art up on the wall, but I loved it because it meant something special to me.
Yeah. Have you looked back since and said, "Oh wow, this is where I started and this is where I am," that type of thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I go back and look at some of them because I don't throw anything out either. Um, and I look at it, I'm like, wow, this is awful. But back then, I thought it was really good. I remember there's one of two frogs that I made, and I don't know where that is right now, but I remember when I first finished that, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done. This is awesome. I love this. I think I really like that one because I discovered a new kind of blue that I could use that I hadn't ever used before. I didn't know that color existed.
That was your blue period.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was like a bright turquoise kind of blue. Um, but I remember thinking that was the best thing ever, and I looked at it a few months ago, and I was like, not really, but for the time, it was.
Well, do you remember what like the first thing you did was that made you just stop and be like, "Wow, this is really good. Like, I'm really good at this."
I remember when I was really little, the first book that I can remember making was about a velociraptor. I was really, for those who don't know, I was very big into dinosaurs as a kid. Dinosaurs, which then evolved into like
I
Godzilla and
remember.
monsters. I made a story about a velociraptor, like a pack of velociraptors, and I forget what happened, but I remember when I was little, that was like I was very proud of that, and I still have that, and I've kept that through the years, and I always go back and look at it. But it's just like stick figures and stuff like that. It's nothing really crazy, but um,
Well, I think we could agree whatever the story was, it was better than that last Jurassic Park movie.
oh, absolutely. That's not hard to beat. I think they had 4-year-olds writing that actually.
Yeah, it could be. That's when they know they've run out of ideas. Like, oh, let's just try that. Here, give them a
Yeah.
Carter drive. I don't know. So, who are your influences?
I
I
have
should
a
say who or what, maybe.
I have a lot of influence. So right now I'm looking at 9 paintings I did. They're right above me, of a bunch of album covers. So in that case, the music artists would be my inspiration. So Pink Floyd, Queen, the Eagles, Led Zeppelin, all of that. They're all those albums. So um, that has inspired me to do a project such as that. Um, as I said before, my teachers definitely had a big impact on uh, kind of guiding me through my art journey. Um, and they also helped kind of like guide me through like a path of what to paint. So when I was little, I painted a bunch of animals and a lot of landscapes. But then as I went through school, it kind of changed depending on what the project was. And I always try to do some grandioso thing that was kind of out there, and it kind of changed over the years as I grew to like more things or stopped liking another thing or just kind of changed overall. I definitely love Bob Ross as well. I don't try to emulate his style, but I just absolutely love the way how he breaks it down to be so simple, but it looks beautiful. And then you'll see him just like put like a black line through the entire painting, and you're like, no, you're ruining it. But then it turns into a tree and it looks even more beautiful.
Yeah,
So I love watching him and kind of getting in that mindset, that relaxed state of mind.
I always thought that was interesting because you can really show, even if for people who haven't gone to art school or taken formal art classes, how just like little objects and little
Hmm.
whatever can just become so much something bigger, something more.
Right. Yeah, that was and when I took the art classes as a kid, that was always the first thing we did was we'd start with very basic shapes. So every first class of like each session, we drew spheres, cones, and prisms every time. It was those three shapes, and I got really bored with that each time and did not want to do that. But she really ingrained it in me that it was important to get those basics down because that would kind of carry through anything that we did.
Oh yeah,
So it
and
really,
how to draw comics the Marvel way. That's like the whole first chapter.
yep.
Maybe the first two chapters.
Yeah, I remember I took a class in drawing comics too, but I did not like that because they made it so structured that like you had to like the teacher wanted you to do it exactly the way he wanted you to do it, and I didn't like that, so I did not retake that class.
Speaking of class,
Hmm.
say this transition. Uh, for those who may not know, you're still a student.
Yes.
Do you find it difficult to balance schoolwork and social activities and art?
Yeah, so I'm a junior at Clemson University studying mechanical engineering. Um, time management, especially this last semester, was something crucial that I needed to get down. Um, what's nice about owning an art business right now, where I can commission shoes, is that I can control the level of advertising that I do, and then in turn, that kind of controls the amount of sales that I get. So if I advertise a lot, I'm going to get more sales. But if I don't advertise at all, like I didn't do this semester really, I'm not going to get a lot of sales. So during the semester, I try to tamper it down. I do only a few projects. I think I did this semester a jean jacket and a few. I think I did 2 jean jackets and a pair of shoes, and that was it. Um, it's just so crazy with all the things I'm involved in. I'm the leader of 3 different clubs. I also had a part-time internship, and I had 20 credits of classes. And so But I also found time for social time as well,
Of
because
course.
I feel like that's very important. And I did fairly well this semester. I got all A's and two B's, um, which academically it's been my worst semester, but I'm fine with that. I'm not gonna kill myself over anything
And
crazy.
just so everybody knows, by the way, I should have opened with this. This is not the kid from Stranger Things. No, this is this is artist Anthony Dempsey, also one of my cousins.
Yep.
Um, oh, he's just sitting with us talking about his artwork and whatnot. Um, so let me ask you, why
Mhm.
sneakers? Why jackets?
I've always loved shoes, and so I always wanted to make myself a pair of shoes and just be able to have that control over what's on them. And so after I made my first pair, which I actually have with me, I think they're in this box at least. I'm really into Pink Floyd, and so I made a pair with a bunch of Pink Floyd albums mashed together. Um, so I made the pair for myself, and I love them. And so then I just posted pictures of them.
I remember seeing
And
that. It's very, very cool.
thank you. And this was my first pair. Like I look back on this, and I'm just like, they're okay, just because of some of the things that I've been able to do since then, and like learn because painting on shoes is very different than painting on canvas. So it was kind of like relearning everything again and like teaching myself uh, new techniques. But yeah, I've always loved shoes. And then jackets was kind of an idea that my mom actually had. She's like, "Oh, you should sell jackets and try to tap into the sorority girl market," which I've done. But I'm
If you had to summarize your body of work in one sentence or just in a few words, how would you describe it?
I think it really represents me. Like I feel like I have a very distinct style that I could tell that my way of doing things is different than someone else's. I don't know if that's really a good answer to that question, but I'm gonna stick with that.
Okay. You mentioned your internship. Are we allowed to say where it was?
Yes, you
Or?
can say.
Yeah. So just so if somebody's watching this, like, oh, so whatever, this kid's a student. He, you know, what he's got an internship. He's got this. No, the kid was interning with NASA.
Yeah,
Okay.
I got the hat
You know,
right here.
the space people. So it wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, go get us coffee. It was like, okay, I don't know. Here's a rocket. Figure it out.
Yeah, they gave me I was actually in charge of the project that I was working on, which was really cool. So I wasn't just go grab coffee or go fill out this Excel sheet for us. I actually got to like uh, do a lot of stuff. So I'm not even sure if you know this, but I worked with the soft robotics research team. Yeah, so the idea behind it is in life right now, when people think of robots, they typically think of metal moving around, swinging the big arms and stuff like that. But when people work alongside them, they have to be roped off because they're made of metal and that could hurt you if it hits you, or you could even potentially die if you get in the way of it because it's just a machine. It's going to keep doing what it's doing. So the idea with soft robots is to make those big machines out of soft components that if it does hit you, it can't hurt. And the idea behind that is they'll eventually be used in space for in space assembly, and astronauts who have very delicate suits on could work alongside them without the fear of being having their suits torn open or getting hurt by a metal machine. And
Well,
so the target focus with that is large scale in space assembly. And so that includes things such as like giant telescopes. I know we just had James Webb go up, which is going to be the most powerful, the biggest and most powerful telescope we're ever going to have. But even to get that into space, it needed a crazy origami configuration just to fit inside the rocket. So if we ever want to make something that's bigger than that, it's not going to fit in a rocket. So we're going to have to build it in space. Along with that, a whole bunch
hmm.
of other slew of giant space structures that we will build in the future.
And you're not giving us any government secrets. Like
No,
FBI agents aren't going to storm your dorm room now and take stuff.
nope. I've had everything that I've said, I've been approved to say.
There we go. Where where do you think you want to take your art next, or where do you want it to take you?
So I would say that being an engineer, I think that's a form of art. Um, it's building things. It's taking something from inside my head and creating it in real life with my hands. And even though it's a different process, I still feel like it's in the same vein. And that's one thing that you don't see in a lot of engineers is the artistic side. They're very by the books, math. So you're able to, I feel like my art kind of helps guide me in that design process and coming up with things. And so eventually I think that the art's going to kind of feed into my job, whatever I end up doing, if I end up working at NASA or going and starting my own company or working for someone else or whatever. Yeah. I think wherever I go, I think it's also going to follow and become part of what I do. Even at NASA, one thing I did, one of the hardships was working online, and so being part of a design team, it was very hard to convey ideas. But because I'm very proficient with Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop, I was able to take drawings that I did by hand and then upload them to the computer and make really nice illustrations of what I'm trying to convey. And then I could take a bunch of still frames and like different components in different configurations, and I could then put it in Premiere Pro and kind of animate it to look like, oh, it's going through this concept of operations and doing this thing. So that was something that I thought was I was the only one that I saw doing that, and I think that that really helped convey my ideas. Um, so I think it's just going to
See,
follow me wherever I go.
so your art is taking you into space.
Yeah.
Have you tried anything with digital at all?
Yeah, I do a bunch of stuff. It's a lot different, and I don't find it as rewarding. But I do like doing it, and I love going into Photoshops. Whenever I post on Instagram for the art business, I always go in and I kind of have like a new style now where I do a solid color background and then put a little shadow behind the shoe, and that kind of makes it pop. I think just having one solid color, it's easy to draw your eye into the shoe. Whereas before, there may have been some like background distractions, and I didn't really like that. But using Photoshop and now also Adobe Illustrator, I love both of those programs, but I would definitely prefer by hand with a paintbrush if I had the option.
Yeah, I've been playing with Procreate for a while now,
Okay.
and I mean, for me, I like it because it's quicker.
Hmm.
Storage is an issue with us, so that frees it up.
Yeah.
But I found, when I shift back to regular painting, it's like, okay, yeah, you have to relearn that, the beauty sometimes of a painting isn't so much getting it perfect like a machine would do, but just getting that little imperfection of the brushstroke that makes it just
Yep.
somewhere interesting. At least what I do. I don't know.
What I will say, one thing I hate about painting by hand is that there's no undo button. I
It's
really
more
wish there was a control
paper
Z.
towel.
Yeah, but I've definitely messed paintings up before, but the going back in and figuring out how to fix it is always fun.
Have you thought about exploring NFTs at all?
I actually did a bunch of research at the start of this winter break on NFTs because there's a lot of noise about them right now, and I actually have a friend who's really into doing it. So I was asking him a bunch of questions, but he said that it's really hard as an artist to start off doing it, and you're probably going to lose a lot of money because it's like $80 per posting of one.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to spend that much money to try and experiment out. But I told him I would sell him stuff if he ever wanted to do it. I'd sell him
There
the
you
art.
go. You take the risk. Show your site. Talk
Okay.
me through some of
Yep.
your favorite works.
All right. There we go.
Okay.
All right. So this is my website. Can you see it?
Very cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that I recognize the woman in the design. I can't think of the name of it.
It's Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Yep.
remember it was a bad movie.
It was a very bad movie, but
Yeah.
a lot of people love the cartoon. I guess it's an anime, um, cartoon anime. So this
That's
was
cool.
all one shoe that I did, but it was each side. So the business is called Designed by Dempsey, and it's a one page. My website is a one-page website that just scroll down and you can see everything, and you can click on them and make them a little bit bigger. So here's one. I have this as my showcase right now because I'm really happy with how I love how these turned out, and I really like the way that it looks with the solid background. So this is what I was talking about, where I just have
Yeah, I was just
blue is the
admiring that.
color and
Yeah,
then the shadow.
it
Um,
does give it a nice bump.
yeah, especially with the white, I really think it pops. So these were all part of one. Oops. That was another pair I did with Kobe Bryant. That was a Christmas present for someone. And then, so these were some of my newer shoes. This is a little outdated. I have made more since this. Last time I updated it, this website was probably, um, I want to say a year ago.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah, I remember the tiger.
yeah, so this is
Yeah.
a pair for myself, the Tigers. I go to Clemson, the mascot's the Tiger. So I love those. I actually made a pair on my Instagram. I'll hop over to my Instagram of similar ones for my friend Trevor, and I put them side by side just to compare how the two look next to each other. I made his eyes a little bit bigger.
Yeah, a little. It pops a little bit more.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
also I've worn mine for 2 years now, so they were a little bit dirtier.
See, that's the thing. Like I would have I would be reluctant to wear them because I'd be like, these are like walking works of art.
Yeah. I actually have a friend. So two stories. My friend that ordered this pair of the Avatar, he still has not worn them to this day. He's too scared to. Actually, I think he wore them one time. But I always ask him every time I see him, "Hey, you wear the shoes yet? You wear the shoes yet?" And every time he's like, "No, I'm never going to wear them." And the other story is I actually did a pair with Venom on them, and he has never worn them. He actually has like a podium that he has them encased in. I don't have that photo on my website, but here's the pair of Venom that I did.
I do remember. Yeah, I remember that was cool.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
absolutely love this one because I love how one, it's on a black shoe, um, which not only helped me paint, but I think it looks cool. And painting on black is a lot harder than white. Um, and I just love how Venom came out. I think I kind of gave it my own little flair to it too, just in the way that I painted it. And then,
Yeah, you did good with the saliva.
yeah, that was my favorite part. So what I did was I went in with blue and reds, and it looked very flat, but I knew it was going to be very flat. And then once I added the white highlights, that's when it all came together. That's like the last thing that I always do. I always get that the base like light to dark, but then I go in and add white highlights to everything, and that's kind of like what makes it pop. And
Yeah.
that's my favorite thing to do is to add that in at the end. Um, I'll scroll back up because I went through them kind of fast. This was a pair that I made my mom of just a beach. Here's another pair of Air Force Ones that I love. And then I think this is probably one of my favorites. I'm a big fan of doing landscapes just because I did a lot of them when I was younger.
Hmm.
And this one is really Bob Ross esque. We got the
Is that
lake
an
in the
actual landscape, or that's just like one you made up to fit the shoe?
that just came up out of my head. I drew that real quick. She told when I was commissioned to do this one, she told me she wants. Um, I don't think I have the other side on my website. I can actually go onto my Instagram and show it. But the other, she wanted a city. She was very into urban landscape. She's going to school in the city, but she also loves that nature side that she has, and so she wanted dual contrast between nature and city.
I
And
got
so
you.
I tried to kind of do two different styles with that. And so you can see how you got the silhouette of the city here, and then kind of the sunset, and then on the other side is the city during the day, and then the same landscape just during the day.
That's very cool.
Thank you.
It's not just throwing a design on. It's you're telling a story. You're catching
Hmm.
somebody's mood, somebody's emotion. That's awesome.
Yep, absolutely. I do a lot of research before I come up with the design that I go for. Because usually what people will do when they get commissions is they'll give me a general idea of what they want, and then I come up with the design. So, um, for instance, let's take this one. These are two artists. I don't listen to rap, but it's Trippy Red and Astroworld. And all she said to me was, "I like Trippy Red and Astroworld. Go with that. They're a present for my friend for her birthday." And so I came up with this design, and it kind of combined like the album covers, a few different of the album covers.
Mm.
One thing I don't like about this is this roller coaster behind the head. I didn't want to add that in, but she made me. So the customer is always right, but I don't like it. It looks like it's wearing a big bow tie on its head.
He's
Um,
got a bow in his hair.
yeah,
I think it still works.
yeah, it's not terrible, but
Yeah.
another
Mickey
thing
and
too
Minnie.
that people love is giving me bands to throw on, and I have to come up with a configuration of how to arrange all the logos. Especially,
Right.
for instance, this one. This was crazy.
I was gonna say, go back to that other one for a moment you were just on.
This one.
How did so this is so you went from the Bad Brains and the Clash and Prince. I'll throw in Prince there,
Uh-huh.
and then and you still on the other shoots you have the Misfits, White Stripes, the Killers, and then just at the toe you got Dwight Yoakam.
Yep.
How did that? How did people say? Yeah, I like all these and Dwight Yoakam. Throw
I
Celine
have
Dion at the same
there's one
time
on the
too.
side too. I forget what, actually I can turn it. Sam Cooke.
And look, these are all great artists. It's just like I don't know that I ever see Sam Cooke and the Misfits on the same shoe.
This was another birthday pair, someone's birthday, and they said, "Oh, my cousin likes all these bands. Can you do something with it?" And I just was like, "Do you want me to put all their logos together?" And they were like, "Sure." And thus this was born.
And I like that you have the background on there that just kind of brings everything together, the cityscape.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
think I think the the British flag under here was supposed to be the Rolling Stones too, but I can't remember.
Yeah, whatever, it still works.
Yeah, but thank you. Um, and then this is getting towards my early stuff. So here's one of the pieces that I had in the album covers right above me. This is Queen 2 album cover.
Iconic, yeah.
Yeah, I did that with acrylic. And then here's Walter White. I have that hanging up right over there.
Very cool. And that's all acrylics too.
This was a pencil.
That was pencil.
Yeah. And then we're at the beginning.
Wow.
So when I first started this, you can see that I was posting more than just shoes. I was posting, here's Iron Man. I love how this came out. This was just on a little piece of paper like this big, um, threw together. I love how the stomach came out with the highlights on the middle. Um, fun fact: I drew like the head, then gave it a rest for like a year, and then I came back and did the rest.
Hey, sometimes that's all you need. Little break from it.
Just a little break. But you can even see like so. This is something I did in my art class, made out of pen, and this is something as a kid I always loved starting off with something really little and then just expanding from that. And that's what I did for this. This was a really important project for our class. I just got a white sheet of paper, and I think I started off with a flower somewhere in here. I think it was this flower right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse.
Yeah.
I think I started off with that flower and then just broke off, and then eventually I like to see it as like a face, like eyes and a mouth and kind of a nose, but it's abstract, and I kind of just went with it, and I like how it turned out.
It
It is
works.
weird. It is very weird though.
Mhm. It's
Um,
definitely very cool.
thank you.
Okay. So let me ask now, if somebody wants to order sneakers or a jacket, or really anything, what is the best way to reach you?
So if anyone wants to go onto my website, I'm assuming that you'll be able, you post this on YouTube, so I'm assuming you'll be able to link this in the description.
Of
But
course.
my website is right here. It's designed by dempsey.card.co, card having two R's in it. And from here, this is kind of a hub where you can go, and the best way that I'll see is either through an Instagram direct message or an email. I don't check anything else quite often, but those are
Hmm.
the two best ways that you can get in contact with me. Email, just clicking this will just open up your email and you'll be able to type something to me. Um, if you do want to, if you do want to go forward with something, give me a general idea of what you want, and um, I'll come up with a design and then give you a price based on different designs. Some
Bless
designs
you.
are more, thank you. Um, some designs are more expensive than others, but it just depends on what you want. Um, some things are harder to do, and obviously that would be more expensive, or stuff
Yeah,
that you
bottom
don't.
line, if you're going to spend the money on a variant or an NFT, just put that money towards a new pair of sneakers or a jacket from Anthony Dempsey.
Yep.
If you've made it this far in the video, I'm hoping that means the FBI has not raided your house because of some national secrets that Anthony's divulged. In all seriousness, I want to take this opportunity to remind you that Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and just to say that artwork, whether it be on a pair of sneakers, a jacket, or in some other form, makes for an excellent and unique gift. So if you'd like to order anything from Anthony, I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description of this video for both his website and his Instagram page. I am going to remind you that he is a young and very busy college student. So if you do intend on ordering something from him, best contact him sooner rather than later. With that, thank you again for watching this video and for supporting this channel. I hope that you enjoyed the content that you saw today. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you did. Go ahead and, of course, put a comment. I'd like to know what you think about this video. Share this, and if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe. I'm inching closer and closer to 100 videos, and of course, once we hit 100 videos, sorry, 100 subscribers, and of course, once we hit that number, I'm going to have a giveaway. But the only way you could win it is if you're subscribed. So go ahead and hit that button right now. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, your week, your year, whatever you're doing. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace, love, and comics. Take care.